Welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Look around you right now. Or, hey, maybe just take a look in the mirror. Have you ever noticed that frantic, buzzing energy of people who are just always in motion? You know the ones. The people who operate at 1,000,000 miles an hour from the absolute second they wake up until they literally crash into bed.
It really makes you wonder, right? You ever notice how some people cannot sit still for even 5 minutes? I want you to picture that one person in your life, and honestly, maybe that person is you. Think about it. The very second the room gets quiet, what happens? Boom. The hand instinctively reaches right into the pocket for the phone. It kicks off this whole cascade of frantic behaviors. It's reaching for the phone. It's replying to emails that you could definitely just ignore until Monday. It's reorganizing drawers that were, let's be real, just organized yesterday. Or how about suddenly starting completely random, massive projects at 11:47 at night, like your life depends on it? It's just this chaotic, completely overpacked schedule that never, ever gets a chance to breathe. So let's get into section 1, the illusion of productivity, unmasking the busy bee. Because what often looks like intense ambition and ironclad discipline from the outside is actually functioning as a really thick, really heavy mask. There is a really stark contrast going on here. If you ask these folks why they're constantly moving, they'll usually just laugh it off, right? They'll say, oh, I just like staying productive. But the reality is much darker. For a lot of them, the truth is that silence feels psychologically dangerous. For a certain type of person, stopping isn't about laziness at all. It's literally an issue of psychological survival, because the silence itself feels like a real physical threat. And this brilliantly captures the irony of the whole situation. Nobody looks at someone juggling 14 responsibilities and says, hey, are you okay? It's so true. Our society absolutely praises and rewards this dangerous level of overworking. We shower them with praise, we tell them how incredibly reliable they are, but meanwhile, that person literally hasn't had a single quiet thought in 6 years. Moving right along to Section 2, Experiential Avoidance Explained, the Subconscious Engine. Now we need to pivot a bit and really unpack the deep subconscious psychological reasons that are actually driving all this chaotic behavior. See, the human brain is just incredibly well designed to detect emotional pain. When heavy things like grief, shame, deep loneliness, intense anxiety, or regret go completely unresolved, the brain basically panics. So what does it do? It actively builds these elaborate, complex strategies to keep those heavy feelings entirely out of your conscious awareness. It just locks them away. Psychologists actually have a name for this. They call it experiential avoidance. I know, it sounds a bit clinical, but it's actually a pretty simple concept. It just means that when a feeling hurts badly enough, the brain will try almost anything, including becoming an absolute productivity machine, just to avoid experiencing that pain directly. So, staying constantly busy, it isn't a genuine passion for the work, not at all. It's functioning as a highly effective emotional anesthetic. So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Movement feels a lot like control. Think about it. When your mind is just completely 100% occupied, there is absolutely no room left for uncomfortable reflection. Constant movement gives a person this false, comforting sense that they are fully in control of their inner world. But in reality, they're just running from it. Which brings us to Section 3, the nighttime trap, when distractions disappear. This is where we uncover exactly why this avoidance behavior heavily peaks the absolute moment the sun goes down. Think about the daily cycle of avoidance. During the day, honestly, it's pretty easy. You have all these natural distractions baked right in. Deadlines, running errands, talking to coworkers. Then the evening hits, and you sort of have to start manufacturing those distractions. The just one more episode trap or endless, mindless doom scrolling. But by nighttime, the quiet finally, inevitably arrives. The distractions are gone, and those avoided thoughts ruthlessly surface right to the top. This ends up creating a really bizarre reality. You have someone who is highly functional externally. I mean, they are managing complex meetings, they are taking care of everybody else's problems seemingly effortlessly, but they are completely, entirely disconnected internally. If you were to sit them down and ask them how they actually feel, they'd probably just draw a total blank. It leaves them fluent in doing, but completely unfamiliar with just being. And what's really important to take away from this is that this disconnect often originates way, way back in childhood. It stems from early environments where slowing down or, actually showing vulnerability simply wasn't an emotionally safe thing to do. And that leads to a deeply ingrained and often really heartbreaking belief. As long as I'm useful, productive, successful, or needed, I matter. This single belief quietly follows people around for decades. It entirely consumes their identity. They become the strong one, they're the dependable one, but their internal sense of worth is dangerously tethered entirely to what they can produce. All right, Section 4, the hidden cost when the body keeps score. Look, you just can't outrun your own emotions forever. Eventually, there are severe physical and social breaking points that we really need to talk about.
I really want to challenge you with this stark contrast. There is working because it actually fulfills you, and then there is working because silence terrifies you. One expands your life, right? It brings joy and meaning. The other is just an escape hatch. And frankly, modern technology, our phones, the apps, the endless pinging notifications, makes this escape hatch incredibly easy to hide in. But we have to consider the heavy physical toll this takes. Eventually, the nervous system pushes back. Anxiety increases, irritability goes way up, sleep gets worse and worse. Have you ever noticed that bizarre phenomenon where forced rest, like, say, finally going on a vacation, actually triggers severe agitation? Yeah, that's because the emotional backlog is finally catching up. All those unresolved emotions start leaking out sideways in the form of chronic stress or sudden anger. And underneath all of that exhaustion is this one terrifying question. If I stop performing, will anyone still need me? This reveals a deep fear of transactional relationships. It's the heartbreaking reason that some of the absolute busiest people in the entire world are also the absolute loneliest. They just keep moving to ensure they aren't abandoned. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, learning to be still, the gentle return. Because listen, if you see yourself in this explainer today, I really want you to know with absolute certainty, you aren't broken. You just adapted to survive. There are very realistic steps for building emotional resilience. The goal here isn't to suddenly quit your job and meditate for 14 hours a day on some mountaintop. No way. It's all about small, manageable steps. Just 5 quiet minutes without reaching for your phone, a short walk outside without a podcast or music playing in your ears. Just sitting with a difficult emotion long enough to actually name it, instead of instantly burying it under yet another task. You have to make this one core mental shift. Discomfort is not danger. This is a life-changing distinction. Slowing down, yeah, it might feel super uncomfortable at first, but you are safe. Your coping mechanism of constant busyness has simply outlived the situation that originally created it. So let's completely reframe how we view peace. Peace is the absence of constant internal escape. It is not about slacking off or lacking productivity. It's about the ability to finally stop treating rust like it's some sort of personal failure. You are absolutely allowed to simply exist without producing anything. When you honestly admit to yourself that you are tired and you finally allow yourself to consciously slow down, your nervous system has this profound realization. It realizes, hey, we survived even when we stopped moving. That realization matters so much more than most people understand. That is where true healing actually begins. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. What have I been trying so hard not to feel? Take a quiet moment with that. Just let it sit. If this resonated with you, I invite you to learn more, dig a little deeper, and perhaps just give yourself the grace to be still. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.